Over 2,400 UN aid trucks arrive in Gaza following the Israel-Hamas ceasefire amid famine risks in the north. Trump announces private sector investment of up to $500 billion for AI infrastructure, with OpenAI, SoftBank and Oracle launching the Stargate joint venture. And the European Council announces a €60 million aid package to support the Lebanese army and enhance stability in South Litani. It's 8 p.m. Cairo local time and you're now watching Q News. I'm Hani Saif and we begin tonight's bulletin with the latest developments in Gaza. More than 2,400 truckloads of United Nations supplies have entered Gaza in the 3 days since the Israel-Hamas ceasefire agreement came into effect. The United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs said 897 aid trucks entered the Gaza Strip on Tuesday. The truce deal requires at least 600 truckloads of aid to be allowed into Gaza every day of the initial 6-week ceasefire, including 50 carrying fuel. Half of those trucks are supposed to go to Gaza's north, where experts have warned famine is imminent. The Israeli occupation forces have continued their aggression on the city of Jenin and its camp for the second day in a row. Palestine Red Crescent reported that 4 Palestinians were injured by Israeli forces' live ammunition during their ongoing onslaught on the city of Jenin and its refugee camp. Palestinian media reported that the Israeli occupation forces forced a number of local citizens and neighborhoods inside Jenin camp to evacuate their homes to Wadi Burqin. The occupation opened one passage and forced residents to take it. Israeli occupation forces have detained at least 25 Palestinians from the West Bank since yesterday evening. Additionally, Israeli forces briefly detained nearly 30 Palestinian workers who were constructing a road in the Khirbet al-Dir area. Palestinian media reported that the Israeli occupation forces have continued to tighten the military measures at most of the entrances and exits of the governorates in the West Bank, and for the 3rd day in a row. They closed the entrances to the villages of Nabi Ilyas and Kafr al-Laqifa with an iron gate and prevented civilians from moving. "898 Israeli checkpoints and iron gates have been installed by the occupation army in the West Bank. Out of the 898 military barriers and iron gates, 18 iron gates were installed by the occupation since the beginning of 2025. For the 3rd consecutive day, the occupation forces tightened the military measures at most of the entrances and exits of the governorates in the West Bank. Israeli occupation forces have fired bullets at the beach of Gaza City on Salah ad-Din axis in the south of the Strip, violating the ceasefire agreement. Palestinian media reported that the occupation naval boats fired 3 shells off the beach of Gaza City and that the Israeli army also fired in the vicinity of Al-Firdaus area on the Salah ad-Din axis, south of the Palestinian city of Rafah. United Nations Secretary-General Antonio Guterres has warned against Israel's potential annexation of the West Bank. Speaking at the World Economic Forum's annual meeting in Switzerland, Guterres stated that there is no guarantee that the ceasefire agreement will hold, and underscored the importance of achieving a permanent ceasefire in Gaza and a two-state solution. The UN Special Rapporteur on the situation of human rights in the Palestinian territories, Francesca Albanese, has warned of the possibility of Israel committing genocide in the West Bank, similar to the one it committed in the Gaza Strip. In a post on X, Albanese condemned Israeli aggression in Jenin, warning that genocide against Palestinians won't stop unless Israel is forced to act. The ongoing attacks have killed 10, including a child, and left over 40 injured. The Palestinian Ministry of Foreign Affairs has condemned the ongoing Israeli aggression on Jenin and its refugee camp, including the forced displacement of families, collective punishment, and destruction of infrastructure. In a statement, the ministry stressed that this aggression is part of a deliberate Israeli strategy aimed at consolidating the occupation, imposing Israeli sovereignty, and advancing the gradual annexation of the West Bank, including Jerusalem. It denounced these measures as a clear manifestation of Israel's colonial expansionist agenda. The ministry also called on the United Nations Security Council to assume its legal and moral obligations in addressing the suffering of the Palestinian people. And for more analysis, we now move to Rana in our newsroom. Rana.
Thank you so much, Hani. And for further analysis, we're joined from Ramallah by spokesman of Fatah movement, Ahmed Fattouh. Welcome to Qnews, sir. Sir, there are concerns that Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Israeli government may use the current military escalation in Jenin as an opportunity to advance annexation plans for the West Bank. How likely is this scenario, and what would it mean for the region's future, sir?
Well, this is the Israeli occupation, and it's brutally and inhuman manifestation that has been pressing and persecuting the Palestinian people for the past 6 years. Israel has moved all the troops from Gaza after the ceasefire to the West Bank, and their ambitions to annex the area's lands, West Bank. Of course, this is led by none other than the war criminal Netanyahu and his ultra-right government that looks at the West Bank as, in terms of religious Zionism, the Judea and Samaria, who does not recognize the Palestinian and does not recognize even the Palestinian people. What they are doing now in the West Bank is an obvious ethnic cleansing campaign taking West Bank. The resilience of our people, the steadfastness of our people is strong as ever. The unity of our people will remain and continue to confront this military aggression against our lands, our communities.
Sir, given the recent ceasefire in Gaza, how does the escalation in Jenin affect the broader dynamics of Palestinian unity and the future of peace negotiations with Israel?
Apparently, Israel does not care for peace. Now, after committing a horror and a genocide, political destruction in Gaza.
In Gaza, yeah. They moved on to the West Bank.
Okay?
They moved on to the West Bank.
They moved to the West Bank, exactly. Now, when we hear ministers in a government of the occupation says, we want to bring the same destruction to the West Bank, they are, recognizing the horror they have done, and they are not afraid to say they're going to bring more horror. Israel does not want to bring a Palestinian state. They see that a Palestinian state is a threat to the colonial expansionist mentality, which is rooted in the Zionist racist ideology. Now is the time for the world to act. We have a rogue state that is following the rule of the law of the jungle. They do not care about the international agenda. They do not care about the human rights or the international law. They want to ethnically cleanse the Palestinians, trying to make our lands unlivable, to push toward the expulsion of the Palestinian people. We will confront these schemes by unifying our power, by calling all the Palestinian factions to unite under the PLO, to put a Palestinian national agenda outside of any external powers that is only for a Palestinian agenda, to confront this occupation in our lands, in our farms, in our villages, and we will prevail.
Mr. Ahmed, how is the Palestinian Authority in the West Bank responding to the Israeli offensives, and what challenges does it face in terms of managing this situation and providing support to affected civilians?
As you are aware, Israel installed around 900 checkpoints and blocks that separate cities and villages from each other, which is limiting our capabilities to reach each other. The Palestinian government is also not officially exist in the Area C. As you know, Area C is under the occupation control, but the government is working hard into reaching the villages with their representative, with their agents, and Fatah movement is also active on the ground to help our people, to aid them. The government is going to repair everything that Israel has damaged, like they have done in Tul Karim refugee camp, the Jenin camp. As soon as the occupation would retreat, they will enter to fix everything. We are the government and the Fatah and all the Palestinian powers are in contact and communication with the world governments to put and pressure Israel.
So nobody is capable till today of pressuring Israel. A ceasefire was achieved and implemented in the Gaza Strip, and now we moved on to the West Bank.
Sorry, I didn't hear you correctly.
No one in the international community, sir, or given the international community's concerns over civilian casualties, especially the United Nations, what steps, if any, have been taken to mediate or de-escalate the situation in Jenin at this point, sir?
Right now, the international community has spoken. We are yet to see an actions, and we want sanctions against Israel. Unfortunately, the international community still seems to be hesitant to take decisive measures. The Trump administration was successful in pressuring to make ceasefire, but we hope that they will be more successful into bringing Israel
ceasefire in the Gaza Strip, sir, not in the and then Israel and Benjamin Netanyahu moved on to the West Bank.
Netanyahu is, a criminal, a genocidal war criminal. He, by the way, he still have thoughts to go back to Gaza. We are still not sure if Israel will not return and relaunch its genocidal war in Gaza. Now, after he destroyed Gaza, he's going back to. By the way, the aggression on the West Bank has not stopped even before October 7. Since October 7, it has been intensified. Now it's even more intensified. Oppression, persecution, and arresting people arbitrarily without any law, without any court, it still exists on the ground. What he's trying to do is to push the Palestinians away from the villages, from the Area C, in his aim to annex this land. Probably the far-right government of Israel think that Trump administration, because in 2020 they offered the deal of the century at the time, which gave them, through the maps, gave them Area C. Maybe they think Trump is going to do the same this term. I hope that Trump administration now is much wiser. They have seen, they have heard, they have seen. Everybody have seen the crimes they have done. So we hope that this administration is going to stop Israel, and we call upon all of the people and the governments and the humane voices around the world to stop this madness.
Yes, sir. Of course. Thank you very much, sir, from Ramallah. That was spokesman of Fatah movement, Ahmed Fattouh. Thank you very much for your valuable, informative, intellectual insight, sir. And now back again to Hani.
Thank you, Rana. And the border between Israel and Gaza stayed calm as the ceasefire took hold for a third day. The truce took effect on Sunday, January 19th, after 15 months of conflict, with the handover of the first 3 detainees held by Hamas and the release of 90 Palestinians from Israeli jails. Attention is shifting to the rebuilding of the coastal enclave, which the Israeli occupation military has reduced to vast tracts of rubble. A convoy of trucks carrying humanitarian assistance have rolled into Gaza's Rafah as ceasefire enters 4th day. People were seen rushing and gathering aid that had fallen off the trucks as they trudged along Rafah's battered roads, which are flanked by the ruins and damaged buildings. Israel's army chief Herzi Halevi has said he would resign on March 6th, taking responsibility for the massive security lapse on October 7th of 2023. Halevi said he would complete the occupation's inquiries into October 7th and strengthen the occupation's readiness for security challenges. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's government has resisted calls to open a state inquiry into its own responsibility for the security breach that occurred on October 7th.
Donald Trump is his name, and he's there to stay.
As unlikely, impossible, is now reality.
America powerful. We will win, win, win. And we will make America great again. We will very quickly make America great again.
U.S. President Donald Trump has announced private sector investment of up to $500 billion to fund artificial intelligence infrastructure. OpenAI, SoftBank, and Oracle plan a Texas-based joint venture called Stargate and have committed $100 billion initially and then up to $500 billion to Stargate over the next 4 years. SoftBank CEO Masayoshi Son, OpenAI's Sam Altman, and Oracle's Larry Ellison joined Trump at the White House for the launch. The announcement on Trump's second day in office follows the rolling back of former President Joe Biden's executive order on AI that was intended to reduce the risks artificial intelligence poses to consumers, workers, and national security. U.S. President Donald Trump has said he will issue an executive order to increase the availability of water in California following disastrous wildfires that recently tore through several Los Angeles neighborhoods. Trump also said he was open to billionaire Elon Musk buying social media app TikTok if the Tesla CEO wanted to do so. The short video app, used by 170 million Americans, was taken offline temporarily for users shortly before a law that said it must be sold by its Chinese owner, ByteDance, on national security grounds or be banned, took effect on Sunday. The ongoing Israeli aggression on Gaza has led to catastrophic humanitarian consequences, with thousands of lives lost, widespread malnutrition, medical staff killed, and countless civilians in dire need of urgent assistance. Moving on to Lebanon, the European Council has announced a third aid package within the framework of the European Peace Facility, amounting to 60 million euros in support of the Lebanese army, according to a statement from the European Council. This measure will contribute to enhancing the capabilities of the Lebanese army, enabling it to align with UN Security Council Resolution 1701 to redeploy and ensure stability in the South Litani area. Lebanon's President Joseph Aoun has called on judges to recognize the importance of judicial independence and to act according to their convictions for the public good rather than personal interests. In his remarks, Aoun urged all parties to put aside petty issues in order to form a government. He emphasized that the formation of a new government is essential to resume work and drive the reconstruction efforts in Lebanon. Israeli occupation forces carried out explosions in the towns of Markaba and Ait al-Shab in southern Lebanon. Lebanese media reported that the Israeli occupation army also launched a large-scale attack on several areas in southern Lebanon. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has reiterated that his government is ready to respond to all scenarios if US President Donald Trump imposes tariffs on Canada. Asked about an uncertain timeline on possible tariffs, Trudeau said Trump is a skilled negotiator who likes to keep his negotiating partners a bit off balance. Earlier, President Trump suggested across-the-board tariffs on Mexican and Canadian exports to the United States could take effect beginning in February. Trudeau said Trump's promised prosperity for America will require Canadian resources to fuel it. And on to Russia. US President Donald Trump has said he would likely impose sanctions on Russia if its President Vladimir Putin refuses to negotiate about ending the war in Ukraine. Trump gave no details on possible additional sanctions. The United States has already sanctioned Russia heavily for its invasion of Ukraine in February 2022. Trump said his administration was also looking at the issue of sending weapons to Ukraine, adding his view that the European Union should be doing more to support Ukraine. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has said he met with the German opposition leader Friedrich Merz on the sidelines of the World Economic Forum just weeks before Germany's federal election. Zelensky posted on social media and said he discussed ways to further advance a just peace for Ukraine, as well as global challenges and the situation on the front lines. Germany will hold elections on February 23rd, and Merz is currently the leading candidate for the Chancellery. These are all the news we have for now, but here's a recap of the stories we've been covering. Over 2,400 UN aid trucks arrive in Gaza following the Israel-Hamas ceasefire amid famine risks in the north. Trump announces private sector investment of up to $500 billion for AI infrastructure, with OpenAI, SoftBank and Oracle launching the Stargate joint venture. And the European Council announces a 60 million euro aid package to support the Lebanese army and enhance stability in South Litani. This concludes our news bulletin for the hour, but please don't forget to follow Q News on YouTube, Facebook, X, Instagram and TikTok at QNewsEGY to stay informed. I'm Henny Saif. Thank you for watching.